All right, everybody, we'll get started here. Our next guest is Bobby Robles, former U.S. Army Ranger and Green Beret with over 2 decades of operational experience across some of the world's most complex environments. He's the CEO and founder of Strategic Operations and Management, Special Forces led security and intelligence firm protecting critical infrastructure, energy assets, and high risk operations globally. What sets Bobby apart is his ability to combine elite security operations with civil affairs and ESG principles, ensuring not just protection, but long term stability and community trust. Uh, Today, he works at the intersection of leadership, risk, and decision making, helping organizations operate decisively when the stakes are highest. Bobby, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate you being here. And Bobby, the first question I have to ask: how do you go from being a supply marine uh, to being an Army Ranger? That seems
Ah,
to be quite a leap. And please tell us that story.
yes, yes. So don't believe recruiters when they say that if you come in open contract, you're gonna get infantry. I ended up being a supply sergeant. I found out the last day of basic training, like you see in Full Metal Jacket, and I was not happy. So as soon as I got an opportunity to switch over to the Army, I did, because I asked like 10 times to the Marine Corps to switch me to infantry. And they said, nope. So I'm like, all right, you prefer to let me go? And they did. The best thing I ever did.
So then you switched over to the Army.
Yes. So I did 4 years in Ranger Battalion and 275 in Fort Lewis. And then I went to selection and got selected. I ended up in 7 Special Forces group out of scuba team. And like many of you knows, in those missions, everything was very clear. The standards were high, and failure wasn't an option. So when I stepped out in the civilian life, coming over here to be a civilian and take that uniform off, that was quite a change for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was. And you got out in 2022, right?
Correct. Yes.
So, shortly after COVID, can you talk about your transition and how that was for you?
Yes. So I was actually in Oklahoma here when I put in my retirement packet at the ROTC in UCO. And the Army said that I couldn't retire from a university, that I needed to go to a duty station. And me being a Ranger originally, I decided to go back to Fort Lewis. And that was in 2020, 2019. And you know what happened right after that? COVID. And when soon I got to the sergeant major in the unit, sergeant major's like, perfect. I need a first sergeant in Charlie Company. And I was like, Sergeant Major, here's my retirement packet. So he wasn't too happy seeing a Ranger Special Forces guy that just got to the unit dropping his retirement packet on day one. But I already had my mindset that I wanted to get out and become an entrepreneur. I just graduated from my MBA at that time, so I already had some goals set up. And COVID happened. And in the middle of COVID, I got my retirement orders. And I was applying to all kinds of jobs with Amazon and other locations, but they were downsizing at that time because it was the beginning of COVID. So I went to the general of the unit and I told him, like, sir, can I stay in the Army a little longer? And he destroyed the orders right there, called HRC, and I stayed in the Army 2 more years.
Wow. So you had already been approved for retirement, and then you redacted it and stayed for a couple more years, and then got out.
Yes, I was 6 months from retirement when I went to the general. I said, like, sir, I need to stay a little longer. And he's like, perfect. I need a first sergeant in Charlie Company. So he sent me to the same unit that I was going to take from the beginning.
So once you finally did retire, what would you say was the most challenging thing for you?
So the most challenging thing was the identity crisis. when you're in the military, you know what you are, because in your uniform it says your last name, who's paying your paycheck, what rank you are, what unit are you in. All those things identify yourself and your with that unit. And when I got out, the day I took that uniform off, the last day I wore that uniform, I felt that I was taking a little piece of my heart out of my chest. And that was very tough because, like I said, having a clear mission, getting orders, understanding what the standards are, even if they're high and you cannot fail on a mission, that's what kept me um, grounded in the military. Just follow the orders and do your best. When you get out, you need to have the leadership and the discipline to manage yourself. A lot of people that are planning on retirement, you hear them saying, I can't wait to retire so I don't have to do this and I don't have to do that and I have to do this. Best advice I can tell you is continue doing everything you were doing in the Army. In the civilian life is the same. Don't stop doing PT. Don't stop learning. Don't let your discipline levels drop, because that's what sets military veterans apart from the civilian population, is how we are skilled and accountable to ourselves, and we understand discipline and risk management.
So, how did you kind of reinvent yourself once you took the uniform off? You know, because you said you struggled with that. So what methods did you use to overcome that?
So I found this book and I read it. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that book helped me redefine myself and understand that what we've been doing in the military all along, it is the definition of success. And in this book, when I read it, I was like, man, this is the same stuff we do in the Army, except for somebody wrote it down and put it in steps for success. And it's like, that's how we get missions accomplished in the military. Like, what are these guys charging for? They teach this in PLDC, but when I read it, I was like, man, that's what I need to do. It's like continue the incremental steps, the skills improvement to take over on the civilian world, because people underestimate how valuable they really are. As NCOs or as soldiers or veterans, whatever branch you are, you have so much value to give to any company. But when we come out, we think that that value stops at the door, at the gate of the base, or that stops when you take that uniform off. And there's nothing that they can take from you. Everything that you learn in the military transfers to any entrepreneur endeavor.
That's amazing advice. Do you have any, and this might be hard to talk about, but do you have any like failure stories? Like, man, I really messed this up when I got out right
Yes.
away. And please tell us about that.
So I actually was in that couch one day, and I retired in March, and around April, I got a phone call from a colonel in the Marine Corps. And he says, my name is Colonel Lance Wendell. Are you Bobby Robles? I'm like, yes, sir. So I'm like, just retired a few months ago. So I'm like, what the hell did I do? Who did I piss off in the Marine Corps? So, so the colonel was like, hey, man, I was looking on LinkedIn, and I was looking for a first sergeant with a Lean Six Sigma black belt that speaks Spanish with an MBA in Oklahoma City that has construction experience, and you are the only one on LinkedIn. So I'm calling you. Can you meet me in this warehouse tomorrow? So I go there to the warehouse. It's an empty warehouse. And the colonel is the biggest developer in Oklahoma. He does single family homes for low income houses for the state. So what he wanted to do in that warehouse, it was a 39 acres warehouse. He wanted to build a modular home factory, so he can build 400 houses a year for himself and put them in his projects. And I look at the colonel, I'm like, Colonel, I know how to pull trigger, but I have never built a house. And he's like, no, but you're a first sergeant that speaks Spanish with a Lean Six Sigma black belt, an MBA in Oklahoma City, and you're a Marine. You're my guy. I'm like, all right. So he gave me the checkbook and the keys to the factory. And in 9 months, I built a functional modular home factory that builds 400 houses in 1 year.
That's funny because that actually answers my next question. Because I was going to ask you how you got into housing because it seemed like that was one of the first things you did when you got out of the service.
It was, and
Um,
I got 33 houses under development right now. We're about to finish our first project, and that one is for mothers that are escaping abuse. We partnered, the Tiny Home Foundation partnered with Overcoming and Jamie Wright, and we're doing great things here in Oklahoma for people escaping domestic violence.
yeah, I was going to ask about the tiny home business. Can you expound on that a little bit? Just tell us a little more about it.
And so after I finished that factory, um, I was having like an identity crisis again because the project was over. I just finished my mission, which was to build this factory. So I got my idea that now I want to become a developer because like I just built a factory in 8 months. Like, what else how hard can it be? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty tough. But anyways, from there, I went and I was at a stop sign. Like, I will place this picture on the chat later, but I was on a stop sign and I was like, God, do you want me really to quit my whatever six-figure job at the factory to go do tiny home? Because I felt that I wanted to help the homeless individuals in Oklahoma. Because before I joined the Marine Corps, I was a homeless kid in the streets. So it's all about purpose. It's like when you get out of the military, you have a purpose, which is accomplish the mission, do the best for your commanders. When you get out, you need to find what is your purpose. What is it that gives you the edge to get out of bed every day and go fight for whoever, for yourself, for your family. In my case, it's for my family and for the homeless individuals here in Oklahoma. So I went to the owner of the factory with this, it looked like a crayon drawings on a paper. Like, I'm gonna do these tiny homes and we're gonna build them here and we're gonna be able to do 600 a year and I'm gonna sell them all. And he's like, okay, I like your enthusiasm and I know that when you get that excited, you get things accomplished. So go ahead, sell 5. And I'm like, 5 what? 5 houses. When you sell 5 houses, come back to me and then we'll talk about the business. And I went out and I started going to networking events, which by the way, that is like, please continue your network in the military and outside. That is the one thing that has helped me is to continue talking to my colonels, my sergeant majors, and all my friends that are in to continue that transition. But anyways, so I went over there and I told him I wanted to do the tiny homes, and he's like, "All right, go sell them." So I sold the 5 houses in 2 weeks, and those are the 5 houses I'm finishing here next month. So he was like, "All right, I'll take you to the bank." So he took me to the bank and everything, and he swore that I was going to do what I said I was going to do, and the bank gave me, I think it was $1.8 million for those, and we built townhomes. We did the 5 townhomes for the mothers. So from there, I was like, what's next? And as I was doing my houses, I met these monks here in Oklahoma, the OSB, Order of St. Benedict. And the monks saw what I was doing with the tiny homes and helping the homeless, and they wanted to also help. And just happened that they own a university here in Oklahoma called St. Gregory's Campus. And this university is fully empty. It was empty for 8 years and they just acquired it back. And they're like, how can we help the homeless with this university? And we came up with this plan, how to build a modular home factory. We can use the dorms to keep the homeless living and But what we were going to be missing was some type of structure or security force that can manage the campus. And that's how SOM became about.
Man, Bobby, you just keep jumping on my questions because I was going to ask you how you went from all these housing efforts into security. So you can't just leave us with a one-liner there. Please
Sorry.
expound on that.
It's like my wife says that like if I keep doing stories like this, I'm gonna end up with a Netflix documentary or something. I'm like, nah, I just want to, when I get to heaven, they say, and the Oscar goes to Bobby Robles for best life.
Now, please tell us about SOM, how that came about, and what you do now.
So SOM, because of the order of Saint Benedict's was partnering with us to build this company. The original name of SOM was Servants of Malta, because the OSB were the same order that created the Knights of Malta. And we put the name on, it looks really cool, but a lot of people on the security business didn't like the name because, of course, it has a name of a country attached to a security force, and that was not very good with State Department and other agencies. So we changed the name to Strategic Operations and Management. We were able to keep the logo, and we changed it so subtle that the letters SOM still is the acronym for Servants of Malta.
And so what do you guys do at SOM?
At SOM, so we are, when we were in the military, like you learn all these skills and all this structure that when you come out, you think you're never gonna do it again. That was for war, or that was for this, or that was for that. Like in the civilian world, that's not how it is. But as I was uh, in the military, one of my missions was to go to Africa and do civil affairs. So when we went to Africa and conducted those civil affairs, it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. So what SOM originally started, what it is a private civil affairs group. So we don't only go and conduct foreign internal defense missions, which I'll explain how it goes, but what we do is we go from the United States, we do bring everybody here to the university, and we do a 2 weeks train up for the mission. And then the ODA or the teams, the Special Forces guys, veterans, go out to Africa or South America, and they go to the critical mine and start doing their assessments. But because some of these countries were not allowed to bring weapons, what we do is we train the local force, just like we do in special forces and foreign internal defense. With that, once we are in place, the town where that mine is, we do a civil affairs project. So we conduct a bed cap, or we take over a clinic or a school. We adopt it, and a portion of our profits goes to that.
So do you have to have a special forces background or something like that to be involved with SOM?
As of right now, the first 22 guys that we got, they're all Green Berets, but we noticed really quick that that is a standard that we cannot uphold uh, for too long. And we learn it from lessons learned from other companies like Blackwater that started all special ops. But as you grow, they couldn't continue the elite force recruitment. So what we did for that is we are coming together with a training program and a assessment selection for SOM. So when the guys come here for training before the mission, we'll do some assessment here on shootings and PT and train them. And depending on how they do, is what position they'll get.
And you operate all around the world.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's awesome. So your motto, Santa Mundum, heal the world.
Heal the world.
What does that mean to you?
So I am a person that I say that I always try to do one good thing for somebody, a stranger, every day. I I've been blessed with tough experiences in my life, but in every tough experience, I always had like a guardian angel or somebody that came to give me a hand to get out of it. Uh, how SOM can do that for anybody? We wanted to conduct those civil affairs mission, bring stability and even medicines to these locations in Africa or South America. But another thing that we do in partnership with the Tiny Home Foundation is we donate tiny homes to the homeless on the local communities here too. So it's like how we use the money and our income not only to grow the company but to do something positive for the world.
That is amazing. So it sounds like you're still involved in the housing network and operation, but you've also developed this company to take it more globally. Would is that accurate?
Yes, yes. One of our goals, actually, construction wise, will be like we're looking very hard at Gaza, like what kind of construction projects we can do over there. Something that I learned from the colonel when he built the factory was that most of his staff, they're all Marines. Like he runs his factory and his company like it is a battalion, and he's the colonel. And I was the first sergeant. He'll call me first sergeant. Like he didn't even call me Bobby. Like first sergeant, come here. I'm like, yes, colonel. But from there, it's that's how I want to grow SOM, because why reinvent the wheel when we know how to do this so well?
So that kind of brings me to my next thing I was going to ask you, because it seems like you've gotten involved in some projects that have absolutely helped you kind of maintain that military brotherhood. But what advice would you give to people to recreate that if they're not in a situation like you're in, outside the military? And I say brotherhood. I don't mean that in a bad way. Brotherhood, sisterhood. Let's be generic about that. But how do you create that? How do you keep it?
So the civilian world, you need to show up prepared and accountable, and you're already on top 10% of whoever is in front of you or you're competing against. Just because you're a veteran, they know that you have these structure and you can work hard at whatever it is that you need to learn. A lot of people think that you need to learn something new when you come out of the military, and a lot of people like myself, I you can see that, well, I got 4 degrees and I don't use any of them. Like if I would have figured out what I wanted to do when I grew up, which is what I'm doing now, I'm growing up, I would have focused all my time on learning the best that I can, the business that I'm going in. Just happens that I had good mentors that took me under the wings to teach me and to show me how the business is done properly. But you need a mentor. Like you cannot just come out of the military with your resume, don't matter what rank you are, and come out there thinking that you're going to take over the world. There are success stories out there, but you need to understand that you need somebody that has been to where you want to go and copy paste whatever they're doing.
It's great advice, Bobby. Appreciate that. So it sounds like with SOM, you're still working with housing stuff, even globally. Um, but are there other areas that you also are making an impact in? Like, for instance, medical. I know there's a lot of medical assistance needed overseas and whatnot. or are
Yeah,
you strictly only housing?
no. We do not only medical, but veterinarian also. We bring vets and we conduct veterinarians capacity missions, which will go and inoculate cows. We can do dental capabilities missions to go bring a couple of dentists to a village that have not seen a dentist before. So there is a lot of ways that we try to emulate what we were doing in the military. It's exactly the same concepts, except for now we're doing it with our own budgets, which is another thing. When you're in the military, you just go to your supply sergeant or your commander and like, I need this. And you expect that by end of COB, you will have those requirements that you asked for. But when you're running your own company, you need to understand that you're it. Like you have what you plan. So people need to start planning what it is that they actually want to do. Once they figure out what it is their goal, like the sky is the limit. And another thing is like when you're setting up your goals to go out there to do something that you love. Don't do something because it's gonna make money. You can make a lot of money on doing anything. Just make sure that it's something that at night you can sleep sound with whatever you made that day. Like even with SOM, when I first started SOM, I said that we were gonna donate 33% of our net profit. People thought I was going crazy, but because I had a plan, that's only 33% of SOM, but I'm also have these other two companies that are running in junction with SOM, making enough money to help everybody. Like at the end of the day, nobody goes to a funeral with a U-Haul behind the hearse. So I'm here just to do as much as I can to help people before I go. And SOM exists to protect people. Like we are all Green Berets, and our motto is to free the oppressed. So that's how we are continuing the mission of Special Forces, but in the civilian world.
So it seems like you've done a good job of kind of merging, your military background with the with civilian life. But at the end of the day, there's no rank in civilian life. How have you managed that? How have you overcome that hurdle? Because most of us in this on this call, we grew up and we've lived with that rank structure. How do you get around that?
So relationships outperform anything that you have in your resume. You can have the best resume or the worst resume, but if you are a person that can manage and maintain relationships, it will help you when you come out because discipline plus patience equals momentum. If you have discipline and you have patience that your plan is going to work, you continue moving forward. I got people that I'm coaching one of my best friend. Actually, he's my COO for SOM, and we are used to go to the range, pull the trigger, we see the target goes down, so instant feedback. When you are creating a company, it's there is a lag, there is delay. You don't know what you're doing 100%, but you're moving forward, and that's exactly what it is. It's continue moving forward on whatever it is that your desires are and your purpose. Find a purpose. You cannot just go out there and I'm going to make this company. It's like, what's the purpose of the company? And you see that it will become a lot easier and a lot more fun to make the company that way.
So, Bobby, how do you balance that with your family life? I mean, we've all sacrificed family for years and years and years, and it kind of sounds like you're doing some of the similar things in the civilian world. How do you balance that with your family?
I've been blessed with a wife that I met my wife when I was 10 years old, and I've been with her since I got into Ranger Battalion, almost 30 years. And I don't even know where my underwear is in my house because she runs everything. So I think she has a little bit of pity on me, and that's why she's still here. But the truth is that you can manage everything, especially in the civilian world. Um, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go and work for Amazon, or I'm going to get out and work for this company. And those are great companies, but when you are your own boss, you have a lot more latitude. And when you go to those cool places, you can bring your family with you.
It sounds like great advice. Um, hey, I'm going to pause real quick, Bobby. Does anybody in the crowd have questions? If you do, just please raise your hand. But Bobby, I would say two things. Number one, if you could go back and tell your younger self, give yourself a piece of advice, what would that be? And then the last thing is it just kind of tie into that. Any specific advice you have for those of us that are transitioning right now?
Hmm. All right. So I can already talk about the education part. Education gets you um, in the door and it looks good on the resume. But I would have not done so much. If you're going to go study business. Like if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, get an MBA. Learn the ins and outs of your business. Like people, business are like a baby. You're growing this baby and taking it into the world. But people think that you get out of the military, you start a business. Once it's in sam.gov and I get my veteran owned business, I'm start making money. And there's a lot of lessons learned and education that it goes with trial and error that is going to happen. And the truth is, don't quit. Don't quit. Stay motivated and stay in the entrepreneur experience because it's it pays off, but there is a delay. It's not as fast as the military. You're learning a new job. You're learning a new skill. You're learning how to talk to people without them standing in parade rest in front of you. So all that stuff. But being an entrepreneur is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And like I'm telling you, when you rise before dawn, you can conquer those distractions. You can stay in the course no matter what, never back down, never quit. And every step you take takes you closer to your dreams. And don't be careful, be confident.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for all the advice that you've given. And for everybody, I posted Bobby's LinkedIn information in the chat, so please connect with him. Um, Bobby, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And if anybody, please hit me on LinkedIn if you have a question. If I can help you with anything, just let me know. I'm available to all of you.
All right. Thank you so much.